Okay. Yeah, probably. Well, we just got done with Jim on the tattletale trap for the. I just do it as soon as somebody says something like middlegarchy or oralgarchy. Boy, that the Bell, Occam's razor and Gresham's law, the new hot button at least for the day. I'll dig that round out a few times, put it back in the pipes, and do it. Like this thing, given I hope they were on vacation getting it together. Look, all companies are gonna have ups and downs on it, and it's figuring out that base gravity. This is the electron shell, the kind of configurations of it. Maybe I said there's me and the Higgs, and I got Larry and Joe, or I got the dozer and a saw. Whatever the main kind of output of from here. If I'm gonna hit that view, it's gonna scatter with some of this effect in that way. So it works as a loose lit way to kind of, all right, well, here's all the pieces, the main parts at the local, maybe not the macro, to inputting or changing those values in some ways. And again, you lean into the science of what a COVID virus is. What are these little crowns? Little input outputs that have to be the right size and the situation to deal with what you're dealing with, roughly. I mean, well, whether it's the virus this way or the virus is going into this way to emit the code that does the binary ones and zero quantum mechanic clock that kind of makes a virus alive and not live, dead, not dead, in superposition, kind of phasing into reality and stuff. You would generally still say out there's an area where IH, the horizon limit, says even if you didn't have COVID on the orders of levels of things, let's say your business technique, what other shell dimensional analysis by the square law on this thing says, well, I missed the same amount of time. It factored that way because that's why this is loose. This can't just be hydrogen in your state. It helps you. Okay, so now I have points on a in a calculus diagram somewhere inside here. Let's just call this the 45. And in there, instead of it going a straight 45 or curvature, it gets banging around in there a little bit because the collisions like that might have clicked on the quantum clock in such a way that if you arted the directs out of that thing, you beat the devil out of it, Bob Rossi, you might get to, well, that's the hydrogen wave function and why it works that way. I mean, here it's one thing. We don't have to deal with air acoustic flutters. There's no dimensional timeline on, well, the air acoustic flutter of that bridge is probably well within the cable's stress ranges, at least on the direct clock. I mean, you figure rocking that thing might stretch that out on inflation calculus, Aleph 0, Aleph 1, to what shell count you're dealing with, or which range T numbers today, tomorrow, next week. Sometimes that is relative.
Whether it's the familiarity of trading the same markets as
Wall
relative
Street
or the lower initial investment,
well, we kind of
there are
generally know
distinct
at the
benefits
board
to day
meeting
trading
in the break
futures
room
versus
stuff
stocks.
broke.
Stock day
that
traders
would
are
be
limited by the pattern day trader
the electron
rule,
shell, all
requiring
the
a minimum
could-be's
balance of
in the tool
$25,000 to
cabinet
trade actively.
kind of get limited real
Futures
fast
traders
by
don't have
time and
this rule
space.
and can trade with a
Cost
significantly smaller
online,
account
Mario
balance.
speed assisted.
Leverage provides futures
task
traders
assisted
power to
speed
control
runner, done
large
all the
positions
tasks
with a smaller
because
investment.
they had hydrogen
Compared to
wave
trading
function. And
stocks
being
on
the
margin,
Sawyers
futures
acts
require
just like
less
figuring
capital
out the
upfront and
graphics on
provide the
that.
most leverage for the margin.
But that's not necessarily a
Liquidity is
hydrogen
essential for
wave
day
function.
trading
What
any
it did,
market, since
all I
it
know is
enables
that
you to get in
this
and out of
hydrogen
trades with
wave
ease.
function
Volume in
hash
individual stocks vary greatly, whereas many
come out
popular
in the
futures
crypto
markets
like
experience high
hydrogen
daily
wave function
liquidity.
and the W boson
Futures
and the way the
traders can
outputs work the
participate in the
same
same
way.
markets
A
as Wall
range
Street,
of options
including
on
the
cost
S&P
spectrums in
500,
the mill,
NASDAQ
or hillbilly
100, and the
spinners,
Dow
or
Jones Industrial
production
Average.
of
Futures
hillbilly
markets are
spinners that
also
lead to
centralized
10-pound
and
bass.
consolidated,
I mean,
while equities markets trade across dozens of exchanges.
well, no one knows
Futures
limited
markets trade
faculties.
nearly
Okay,
24 hours
so
a day,
that's the
6 days
mod,
a
that's the
week,
clock. We're all
allowing
agreeing
traders
with
to
the timelines
conveniently
in here.
manage
Yeah,
positions any time of day.
come up later on a
Stocks and
question.
ETFs
It's
only
fair enough
trade
to say
6.5
the
hours a
majority
day,
of this,
5
and maybe
days a
within
week.
the
Start
quadrant
trading
of mod
futures.
2
Visit
point whatever.
NinjaTrader.com to get started with a free
You're
demo
making,
with
you
live
want there to
market
be a
data.
mod 2 point whatever. You like, oh, forcing this horse to work. But you might not know a step of an Arduino. But not everybody studies electrical engineering like that. Every matrix capacity, Arduinos and transistors, resistors, and why they're useful at the phase where you're going to do some quantum limit. I just need to do a light bulb. Doesn't matter what electron volts or millivolts or it's got to be on
first
and
of all,
off in
the people of Taiwan
steps.
do not identify
Close to the
themselves as
approximation
Chinese or
63,
Taiwanese,
73 megaparsecs
and we
in
continue
the
to be
area in which I want.
cognizant of what's going on with China. This is
Moving in
a
the pack.
country, China and Russia both continue to challenge the international norms. If you look at what China's been doing for years, they've illegal fishing off of Vietnam. That's one of the reasons that we parked an aircraft carrier over there under the Trump administration, to make sure that China understood that we were not
Illegal fishing.
afraid of
Like
them,
there's
and that we
calculus,
would
there's the biopump. That's
uphold to
why
the international norms.
numbers
They're
come in to
illegally
certain
fishing off
standards
Africa
of
right
wave
now.
functions that people
They're
don't pay
building up
attention
islands.
to. That is a
There've been no
very
consequences for
sensible
China
piece
for
of
their
paper
conduct over the last
off
several
of who
years.
does
So
the
they've
calculus.
emboldened-
Like,
that's
oh, well, we
emboldened
listen to the
themselves.
people who get those
And,
numbers,
and
and we
now,
disagree
you know,
with it,
they're
but you
flying
don't do it
the
yourself,
planes
and then you actually get to those
Taiwan
people, and they're like,
airspace or Taiwanese airspace,
you go to
and,
their
you know, what the Taiwanese
they're hold,
know
and
what
they're
China
way
needs to know is that
overweight. You know, they
the
keep
United
coming
States
that
will
up
fulfill its
of it
obligation
upon
to
there.
protect
Well, it's a big
Taiwan.
ocean. You don't do the
And
fucking
speaking
number.
of China, and the Wall Street Journal wrote an editorial about this
Do the number.
at the end of
Argue
last
differently.
week.
Show the proof
but
and
that
results.
China, the
Otherwise,
Communist Party in
fucking deal.
Beijing,
You're absolutely right.
you know,
That's a
trying
moral
to
contract that was
displace the
broken
US
from the
as the
get-go, but that's
dominant
been
power
broken
in the
since humanity
Pacific,
walked out of
is
the mud.
establishing a small police presence
You're a
on
sperm.
the Solomon
You're a fish.
Islands
You're a frog.
that could easily grow. And the Pacific state,
fungus,
Solomon
it's a
Islands, have
goddamn Goomba.
accepted this Chinese police support. So, like this, this movement by China's Communist Party continues to grow.
Big inflation. Yeah, big bubble.
Right, and
Unpopular.
understand their definition of police is very different than our definition of police, right?
Look.
You've got the situation with the Uyghurs in
Some are relative.
in
I'm the
certain
speedrun for
provinces
standing
of China.
models. Like, you have
This
to
is a
hit that
country
Goomba.
that
Why?
does not allow
Well, it's
religious freedom. You
the
either
base
worship
of
the
a
Chinese
double
Communist
jump on
Party,
there that,
or you're
whether it's
subject
a
to,
mask
punishment.
AI or one of those
So
other ones in
any
Mario
movement that
2.
allows,
Those are the standard
Chinese
models. That's the
police,
frame. That's
if you
what
will,
this is.
come out and
It's
enforce
ones and
the will of the
zeros.
Chinese Communist Party
Kind of wants to be,
anywhere,
the first
it's a
one,
danger to
frame rate to the
freedom.
train,
And
and the
so
second MiG 1 and
I'm
MiG
very
2 in
cognizant
there.
of what's going on.
We
in
are
the United States
on the
are
same
watching
team,
this very
but that
carefully.
does not mean
I
we
am
wouldn't become
concerned that they
enemies if
believe
gravity
that this,
decided to
the
blow the wind
weakness
this
in
way.
America right now in our foreign
Well.
policy gives them more opportunity than they've had in the past. And we're going to continue to push back on it. Hopefully
You notice
we can
every
do it
one
in
of them do the
bipartisan
same thing,
manner.
like a
But
little
if you're
bit of
China and you're looking at the administration
There's
right
no
now,
gravity.
you've got a very different administration with Secretary Blinken and President Biden than you
It
had
does.
with Donald
There's a
Trump.
marshmallow right there.
and Mike
Can you do
Pompeo.
that? If I put you in one of those, you feel good about it? What
They've
about
got
just
a few
the
years here
simulator?
where you've got
You think you
Blinken
track
and
the
Biden
light?
in the White House and then the Secretary of State's office, and they know that when we take the
You go down.
the White House back, as we will over the
I'll
next
put
couple of years,
one of mine in one of
that
your
we will have
spots and
a
see if
much,
they go down from there. We'll test the
much more
calculus, and we'll
aggressive
do round robins
Secretary of
until we
State in
figure it
office
out.
that maintains the
Benny,
international
you're out there.
norms. So I'm concerned that they see this as an opportunity. At the same time, the people around this
Going for
world,
punch out world record.
they want personal freedoms and they
Going
want
Kuiper
individual
belt with
liberties and they want
Jupiter,
economic
straight up.
opportunities,
Walking
and that
on
does
like a
not
legend,
come
yeah.
with communism.
No, and Lee Carter, jump in here. President Biden
Well, it doesn't
has
matter.
yet to
I've turned silicon into money.
address
I did that by cutting rock.
the
Just
origins
hitting
of the
it with a-
coronavirus
hitting it with a chisel
pandemic
and a
with Xi
hammer.
Jinping.
Done that a few times.
Like, well, how hard is that?
It shouldn't be very hard. And I think
Headstone.
one of the foreign
Dead people. I
policy
mean, money
isn't
out of dead
usually
people.
the reason that
Tells you, prof.
Americans vote for a president. It wasn't in the top 4 reasons, but many people had really
Dead
hoped
people
that
that
he was
weren't
going
even
to
dead yet.
restore
Blows my mind.
America, and he was gonna deal with things that needed to be dealt with.
Well,
I
you
think
have a
the issue
problem
of
with
China is
eschatology
one that
on this
is
one where God
so,
becomes the issue of that cemetery
frightening to
later
people
at
on so
Elon
many
Sky
levels. It's
line
not just about
being-
COVID. It's not just
Well,
about what's going on in Taiwan.
40K Space Marine.
There's trade.
40K.
There's so many issues
There will be things
that
we know.
surround this.
All
And
of zero
I
all
think
life
the
forms.
real question is, what can we
That was
do
the trick,
differently
right? They're going to bolt
right
me
now
to the
make
floor
sure
in here and
that
for
China isn't a
40,000
threat?
years
Because
until we
conventional
find the
wisdom was
emperor.
always like
Goddamn
China just
man,
wants to
we're
be
going to
contained,
calculus.
but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. And so my real question is, what can we do about it?
Might be you, Princess Peach. That's what you get. That the
I
momentum
think
spin
part of
to
it's going to be contingent upon what the American citizens do in the next elections. I fully expect Republicans to take the House and the Senate back. I think that Americans want U.S.
Joan of
foreign
Arc was
policy
obviously a
to
high
spread
peg number of
freedom around the world, not to
electromagnetisms. The
allow
Crusaders that
communism
generally
to
went through
rule
thought
the
it was
world.
still big.
So
Leo,
we've got some challenges inside
whatever.
the United States right now. I think we look very
Space
weak from a
Marines or
global
Praga,
perspective,
right,
and that has created opportunities for countries like Russia
Whatever
and
the
China
wobbles
that
are,
continue to
you know, you
challenge
put
the
it on here, you
international
crumple it
norms.
up, and
They would have done this,
Adrian,
if President
I
Trump
love
were reelected and Mike Pompeo were Secretary of State.
Congressman, thank you so much for being here this morning. We hope to see you very much
you don't
in the
do
new
is not
year.
math. That's
Congressman
the wrong
Austin
answer every
Scott.
time.